Hey, today we're going to take a look at my layout. I've been working on this for a couple of years. There's not much finished. I don't have a lot of time to work on it every day, but I do want to show you a couple of things that I have done, and we'll take a look in some other videos in the future further down the layout, but we're going to focus on this spot here. The layout basically takes place in the late 70s, probably around 1979. So Conrail is operating for the last couple of years in New York and Queens, and there's some lingering Penn Central, there's some lingering New Haven rolling stock and locomotives as well, because those are the things I like to model. Amtrak is here as well, and I'm trying to create a New York feel, which is a little difficult because I'm used to clapboard buildings in New England. That's kind of my comfort zone with the kits I make, and this is kind of a challenge for me. There's lots of brickwork in New York, of course, so brick has to be done in a certain way. It's a lot different than making clapboard buildings, but I've been trying to experiment with different kinds of brick techniques, and that's coming along. So I'll take you over here and we'll take a look at what this section's all about. Hey, before we get started, please hit subscribe to the channel so we can keep making more videos for you. And now let's take a look at the layout. Okay, so before we get into this section over here, I'll just give you a quick perspective of what the whole layout looks like. This wall is about, or this section is about 30 feet long, and then it does a little turn down the end, comes back another 24 feet, and ends, which will be a car float here. There still needs to be a lot done, of course. This whole section needs valance and lighting, and this drop ceiling under here needs to be finished. Above this layout is basically storage, models and kits and supplies, and on the other side of this wall is our shop, which we might take a look shortly on the other side of the wall. And this is held up with some steel columns here. They do get in the way of the scenery, but it was kind of necessary to get this storage up top. And then these crossbars, these steel crossbars here, kind of hold this wall in place and keep it from falling down. So over here, as you can see, this is still in progress. Okay, so for the most part, the layout is pretty flat, except in the back. You can see this track in the back. That's actually where a concrete foundation kind of pops up. So the whole layout for this section, there's a 2-inch high section in the back which I added track to, and that meets up in the back down there. But basically it's just a couple of blocks here. I'm making some changes. There was another kit here that I just took out, and basically I just want to get more bigger structures in here. To me, that's a little bit more New York than what I had planned earlier. So this is the very end of the layout. Eventually, you can see some tracks in the back. Those are a little higher because there's actually a foundation wall there. Those tracks will go through that wall, and my little office is behind that wall, and there'll just be some staging back there. But I've been rearranging this. As you can see, there's a small building here. This is one of our kit of the months, and I'm actually going to take that out because I just added this 2-inch section to get a little bit more room and to get some bigger buildings. So I can get a bigger building here eventually once that comes out. I'll extend this street. There's going to be a building here. And so far, the only permanent buildings that I'm keeping are these two guys, which still need some rooftop details and billboards. This is, you might probably recognize this. This is our Wachters apartment kit. So we're going to extend some of these streets. Another street here, diagonal street here, some bigger buildings. Those are temporary background flats for the moment. And then we have a big highway, elevated highway over here. And these piers are cast in hydrocal. I just made a simple mold and then repeated the few pieces and did some graffiti on it. And then this roadway is all 3D printed in 6-inch sections, which are kind of connected. None of the cars are weathered yet, and there's going to be signs here and lampposts and stuff, so forth. So that's what's going to go there. And then over here, which is unfinished, there'll be a structure here for this scrap yard. I've been working on this scrap pile. So eventually there'll be a crane here with either a claw or a magnet dumping steel scraps into a gondola. And there's some trash details back here. And then right next to the scrap pile is a section of canal. The area I'm modeling has two canals in it. What's actually called Newtown Creek in Queens, and then the Gowanus Canal in Brooklyn. This is a section of Newtown Creek, both of which are very polluted and filled with junk. And as you can see, there's lots of graffiti. As I said, this is the late 70s in New York, so graffiti is pretty much everywhere. Anywhere there's a flat wall, there's going to be some graffiti. So you can see some back here on all the piers of the elevated highway, and then even on the rooftops. This building here is a Walthers kit that I just sort of kit bashed. I took the opposite side wall and just made it double the length, so I didn't need the wall in the back. And then the kit I'm working on behind it is a Lund Studios kit, which is a beautiful kit. It's got great detail. I still have to do a storefront down there. And I'm working on this storefront. This is a New York style deli bodega, which is very typical of New York. There'll be some more details on the sidewalk there. So the layout construction is pretty simple. You can take a look under here. It's basically just 1x4 wood with 1/8 inch masonite on top. That's just some bus wire feeding the track underneath. It's basically this extension. It's the same material. It's just 1x4 with the masonite, and then on top of the masonite is pink foam pretty much through the entire layout, except where the water sections are, and that was cut out to do the water. For example, here, there's the masonite underneath, and that's just sitting on top of that 1x4. So I use a lot of these cardboard mock-ups just to see how buildings will look. And I basically kind of plot out my building lots first, and then I'll try to make the building fit the lot. This will be, of course, shaped to that street. This will be a smaller building. There's going to be a gas station here. This is going to stay, this small little loading dock. And as you can see, even getting an extra 2 inches or so on the layout will get me some bigger buildings. So this black area here will be a footprint of a larger building that will fill that lot. So as you can see, there's a bunch of trash between the tracks here: mattresses, toilets, sinks, hot water heaters, stoves, tires, which is pretty typical, especially in the 70s along the tracks. But even this is not enough garbage to match the photos that I'm looking at. So I need to find a way to keep adding more garbage and trash to really give it a more authentic look to the 70s and the pollution, the trash that was around. This pile of scrap is basically just a big piece of foam underneath, and I took a bunch of scraps and chopped them up from other old plastic kits and give them a wash and a paint job of rust and with chalks and spray paint in a box, and kind of stirred it around, then just kind of glued it all in place. So next time we'll focus back down here on this waterfront scene. There's a big low tide scene here that we did a video on, but we'll take a further look at it, and we'll go further back towards the end of the layout and see what's going on there. Like I said, this is all in progress. Nothing's really finished, but I thought you'd like to see what it looks like so far and where it's going. Again, please be sure you subscribe to the channel below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.